The countdown is on until the season finale in Hong Kong on the 15th of July at Happy's Valley. There are just 4 race meetings left and they'll form the final 4 race meetings for John Moore as a trainer in Hong Kong. Here's what we've got on the penultimate edition of Hong Kong Direct for the season. And we'll continue our legacy tribute to John Moore Part 2, looking at the big moments and superstar horses that he's saddled up in recent years. And the perfect person to help me discuss all of that and more is David Morgan, who has covered all of these big moments over the last decade in Hong Kong racing, both here and abroad. David, thanks for joining us on the show this week.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
A lot to talk about when it comes to John Moore and his career. These recent years, say the years from Military Attack through until Beauty Generation, despite what John Moore's achieved in those early years of his career, have these last, say, 10 years really been the best years of his career?
I think you could say that, yeah. This last decade's been pretty sensational for him. I mean, you can go back a little bit further to sort of 2007 when it really kicked off. That amazing time where, in that spring where he had Able won the Champions Mile, and Viva Pitaka won the QE2 Cup. And from that point on, those were his first full-blown, if you like, Group 1 wins. Now we reel forward 13 years and he's got 36 of those full-blown Group 1 wins on the board. It's been quite a ride, and it comes back to, he just kind of tweaked a few things. He tweaked how he was doing things. He saw what was working when Brian Can was bringing in European horses. He looked at that and thought, well, I can bring in better ones. And he did. And he really upped the game for Hong Kong racing. He brought in horses that were capable of winning top races on the international stage and winning the international races here in Hong Kong. Horses like Beauty Generation, Able Friend, even horses like Dan XL, Designs on Rome, Military Attack. They were fantastic horses, Group 1 performers. So yeah, I think we can definitely say the last decade has been pretty special for John Moore.
And in your role as a racing rider for the Hong Kong Jockey Club, you've been at close quarters for those big moments, both at Sha Tin and also abroad in Singapore and Dubai. From your observations, what are the skills that John has that has enabled him to have such success at the elite level here?
Well, I think one thing is that, like, going back to him sort of changing tack and how he's buying his horses, he sees things. He sees what might be working at an early stage. And you can take that right back to 1971 when he landed in Hong Kong and thought, hang on, something's going on here. So he can pick up on things, little trends, things that he notices might work for him. And then it's the attention to detail, really looking at what's going to work for his horses, that individual attention to each horse, knowing what they want. It's sitting in the trainer's stand, clocking the horses as they go by, not waiting for anything, not waiting for someone to send him sometimes or relying on second hand. It's him being there, doing it himself, which probably goes back to his upbringing with his father, you know. He's a perfectionist. He wants to be the best. He wants to make sure everything's just right. And it's that attention to detail. And being able to bring a horse up to a peak for a big race, he's proven time and time again that if you want a horse ready on the big day for a Group 1, he's the man who can do it.
For sure, he's proven that on several occasions right throughout his career. So in part 1 of Legacy, we looked at the early years of John Moore's career up until he had the likes of Viva Pitaka, Able 1 and Extension. We pick up the story, part 2, for the recent years. These have been the golden years.
In those years, I would have to say that the Moore stable has won every cup on the program. We have really put Hong Kong on the racing map with respect to a small population with no breeding industry, but we have had horses not only that have come in as private purchases, that have, 2 of them have been world leaders in over their particular distances, i.e. Able Friend and the current Beauty Generation.
Military Attack, we'll get him up on screen for you. Well, he's flying at the moment, career best form, and he won the QE2 Cup in Hong Kong most recently. John Moore, can he do it this year?
It is true. You've been to this race, I think, more times than most trainers. You deserve one. You've been placed here before.
Yes, I have, and overseas, we've got to get this monkey off my back, and I hope these two horses can do it because they're the real deal.
Dan Excel, Malakalaka and Lazar is down the outside, but Hong Kong get the double. Military Attack races away and claims it in very hollow fashion. Military Attack bolts in.
Yeah, that was fantastic to see the emotion in John's face on that day. I think it's the most emotional I've ever seen him after a big race win. He's won a lot of big races, and he was a great horse to both of us. It was a moment that, is etched in my mind forever.
That was another race that I will never forget. A year and a half after I come over, I was going overseas with one of John Moore's horses and obviously Gary's horse. Unexpected win, because we didn't know how that horse was going to handle the tapete in Dubai, and fortunately he was able to bloom on the highest stage of the world.
Rich Tapestry in front of the 150. The other Hong Kong runner, Sterling City, coming after him. Rich Tapestry, Sterling City on the outsides, going home the better. 1-2 for Hong Kong. Sterling City beat Rich Tapestry.
The greatest satisfaction when travelling a horse overseas was that in Dubai, when we won the Group 1, to watch my daughter lead back Sterling City and Georgia on the other side. That's probably one of the most satisfying times in my training career.
Bibiani and Designs on Rome coming down the outside, and Able Friends got a split. This is what we've been waiting for. Designs on Rome, Bibiani the outside, Able Friends bursting up the rails. It's Designs on Rome and Able Friend fighting it out. Designs on Rome with his head in front, he's edging away, and Designs on Rome wins the Derby by a length.
It's one of the biggest thrills I've had in racing, and to ride a horse this good, it's pretty special because what he did today, only very good horses do.
Designs on Rome still falling behind them as Criterion burst to the lead in the Cup. Military Attack, Designs on Rome running on. Archimedes further back, Criterion in front, but Military Attack descending on the scene. Designs on Rome the outside, he's in for the fight. Wow, they hit the line and Designs on Rome beat him.
You can have favourites and you can have the best. Able Friend we had from day one. He was bought at the yearling sales by George and I. He went, as I said, from Muskoka to Hawks to Hong Kong to a world champion miler.
Big Redder starting to lengthen. All 1,300 pounds of him, and away he goes. Able Friend from last has put play to them quickly.
That horse, he was just so unnormal. His size was just like very different than any other horses. The way how he used to move, the amount of ground he used to cover with his stride was just a horse that everyone else dreamed to have in hands,
He's under a half Nelson here, and it's the Magic Man racing away on this truly magical thoroughbred. Able Friend going to win the Champions Mile in an absolute hand canter. That's the world's best.
I think keeping, as a trainer, horses on this level, performing consistently, that's something which only very, very few people can do. And he has done it. And he has done it not only one time, he has done it multiple times. And this is why I think he has such invaluable contribution to Hong Kong racing and making Hong Kong racing one of the best in the world.
Rapid Dragon 250 out clear, Beauty Generation, Pakistan Star, the turbo's been turned on, then Seasons Bloom, Rapid Dragon, Pakistan Star's eating up the ground, Rapid Dragon in front from Pakistan Star, the puzzle now complete, Rapid Dragon takes the Derby from Pakistan Star.
He's so professional, he's so determined to go after those good horses. And not just that, he brings them over to Hong Kong and he's able to just rise them and get them to really perform at their very best.
George sourced him, bought him, and then, of course, it was up to me to look at the horse as an individual and say, where did his talent lie?
Beauty Generation kept going. Helene Paragon, Western Express trying hard. Beauty Generation, Western Express, Helene Paragon. Beauty Generation takes the mile.
He was very versatile in Australia, that he could win a 1400 and go on to a 2000. But looking at his physical appearance, and I've said it to the press before, Beauty Generation had all the attributes, yes, of a sprinter miler.
This is 100% pure Group 1 power. Beauty Generation 5 in front. Viv Lawson, Southern Legend. He is invincible, Beauty Generation. What a champion he's going to be. What a champion he already is.
We didn't expect he was going to reach the heights that he has. He and I both, to some degrees, sort of knocked him on the way through, and he proved both of us wrong. He continued to raise the bar, and he developed into a horse that I've never ridden before, and you know, it's been a special journey. And
Purton sitting motionless, 3 in front on Beauty Generation. What a remarkable season it's been. Another incredible racing story, a second Champions Mile, and a coveted crowning glory.
Hong Kong's been such a big part of your adult life for basically 50 years, John. Are you going to miss this place?
Oh, definitely. It's home. You know, from a 20-year-old griffin, I like to call myself when I arrived, a guy on a journey, hoping for gold at the end of the rainbow.
Viva Bataka, John Moore, another one. Collection comes away to win the Gold Cup. What a great welcome to Hong Kong racing. Military Attack wins the QE2 Cup. He's different class, Able Friend. Pulls away to win the Queen's Silver Jubilee.
Werther absolutely destroying them here in the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup. Magnificent Werther. This is one serious thoroughbred. Rapid Dragon, too good again. Beauty Generation 5 in front. He is invincible, Beauty Generation.
well, no one's trained more winners than John. No one's trained more big race winners than John. That in itself puts him at the top and in an elite position. He's going to be missed.
He's trained over 100 million Hong Kong dollars a season. He's been leading trainer on, 7 occasions? And he's brought in some really good horses which have forced the other trainers to upgrade the quality of their horses.
When you really look back at his career, I think I would say more stands for more. It is amazing if you see what he has done in relation, his selection of horses, then bringing the horses to the very top. And if you look at really his contribution to Hong Kong racing, they're invaluable.
I'm sitting here right now in my last month of training in Hong Kong, but I can look back and thank the teams that I've had behind me to make the Moore stable over so many years a household name around the world, and just, you know, the gut feeling that, wow, I've done a great job and I'm going to finish up on Hong Kong on exactly the right note that I want.
It's been one of the great training stories in world racing. Special thanks to John Moore for taking the time to sit down with us and tell his story, and also to our production team here, Doug Chalmers and everyone involved with putting together Legacy, both parts 1 and part 2. Dave and I will be discussing John Moore's training career in greater detail after the break. Plus, we're going to look at the feature event coming up on Sunday at Sha Tin. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Hong Kong Direct. Welcome back to Hong Kong Direct. David Morgan is my special guest on the show this week. And David, we've just seen part 2 of Legacy. Let's look at some of the highlights that were brought up there. First of all, the win in Singapore for Military Attack. That was a bucket list item, wasn't it, for John Moore to get that Group 1 success, that first Group 1 success for him on foreign soil?
It was, and at the time, it was hard to believe that he hadn't already had one. And I was there, right? And so you just could sense that he thought he had, military attack Dan Excel, that he really had a big chance. And so having that extra little pressure that he had these two good horses that could win it, I think the relief was massive for him. And it was a huge night. Those nights overseas are always big nights when you get a Hong Kong winner. And it was a really big night when John got that win with military attack.
And from a family point of view, as he mentioned too, then to go to Dubai the following year on what was a huge night for Hong Kong racing and win with Sterling City in the Dubai Gold and Sha Tin. As you say, you were there that night as well too. Tell us about that and the significance of it.
Yeah, well, that was as special as you get. Singapore's great. Singapore's good, but Dubai's great in comparison, really. If we break it down, the spotlight from the US, from Europe on that race meeting is massive. And so coming off Amber Sky, which gave us a real buzz, going into Sterling City, Rich Tapestry ran a great race in second. But, George Moore was riding that horse track work through the week. So the family was very much involved. And George isn't necessarily the most stylish on a horse, but he did what he needed to do for his dad. He got the job done. You saw Caroline leading the horse in. It was a real family occasion. And you could see that meant a lot to John at the time. And, what a performance. That horse never ran his race as good as that before or after, but when it mattered, John had that horse spot on to win the race that he needed. And that's just, it's massive for his record looking back on his career.
On Hong Kong soil, John's won nearly every race you would want to win as a trainer here. He's won all 4 Hong Kong international races at least once, the Champions Mile 8 times, the Derby a record 6 times. These are records that are going to be tough for any future or current trainer to surpass, aren't they, Dave?
Oh, of course. He set a bar that's very high. And to do it in the way that he did it with horses like, Rapid Dragon becoming the first horse to win all 3 in the Classic Series. You look back to the footage that we watched earlier with Designs on Rome beating Able Friend to get the first 2 home in the Derby, and not just the first 2 of the best horses that Hong Kong's ever seen, and probably ever will see. He did it in style. He did it in some style.
And then to end his career as well too with Beauty Generation, who became the highest prize money earning horse ever in Hong Kong racing, over $100 million. And I think the special thing for me with Beauty Generation was he's been able to keep performing at Group 1 level for successive seasons, which is so hard for horses to do here in Hong Kong.
It is. It's very difficult. Horses get issues, they get problems. You look at Able Friend, John did a fantastic job of keeping him up for that season, for that period of time when he just looked invincible. But, the frailties kick in, the horse got an injury, as athletes do. With Beauty Generation, it's remarkable that he's been able to keep him going on for so long. And yeah, sure, his form dipped, as would happen when a horse gets older, but he still managed to keep him performing at Group 1 level to a very high standard.
So when we look back at the years then, over the last 50 years, we've had the Moores such a pivotal players in Hong Kong racing. Not just John, but George, Gary. What's Hong Kong racing going to be like next season and the seasons beyond with no Moores involved?
I think it's hard to really know at this point because, like you say, right from the beginning of the professional era, we've had the Moore family involved. John's been involved in all of that time. I think you're going to have other trainers step up. You're going to have well, it will happen. The owners are going to go other places. So those owners that were with John, they're going to go with other trainers, and they're going to try and source those good horses as well. But it's going to be tough for them to live up to what he's done. And I think those trainers, obviously, you've got men like John Size, Casper Founds, David Hayes coming in. They're excellent trainers, Tony Cruz. They'll find the champions. That'll still continue. I think what we'll lose with John as well, though, is that, he's just great to deal with. He's great for the media. He's always got that ready soundbite. You think back to those mornings in December when you've got the international media coming in, and you think when I first came here, it would be me and maybe 2 photographers out there watching a couple of John Moore horses gallop. Then it's built up over the last few years with Able Friend and Beauty Generation, and John will bring the horse out, he'll let the horse take a turn, and the media all talk to him, they take pictures. So that accessibility, just that warmth, and if you like, playing to the cameras a little bit, he knows how to do that, and he does it very well, so that's going to be lost.
Yes, he's been a great ambassador for Hong Kong racing for so many years. He is represented in the highest class race coming up on Sunday at Sha Tin. Class 2 over 1,200 metres. John Size goes into the race with 2 runners. But Francis Loy also has 2 runners in the race, Massive Pocket and Highly Proactive. John Moore represented by Magic Legend. Lucky Express and Armando look promising horses for the future. So let's have a look at some of the key contenders in this, and let's have a look at Massive Pocket. This is at Happy Valley. Francis Lloyd, Dave, he's trying to win his first ever trainer's title. He's one behind Ricky Yu. He's had a terrific season with this horse, Massive Pocket, a 4-time winner, and this was an impressive win at the Valley.
It was. He absolutely rocketed home this night. Francis is, you know, a lot of people wrote him off, thought he won't have the horses to keep going through to the end of the season, and he's proved people wrong. And this horse, like you say, he's performed well all season. He didn't look that night like he was done for the season. He looked like he maybe have a little bit more in the tank. So who knows? He's definitely a chance.
Another key form race goes back about a month that Sha Tin won by Mr. Croissant, who got a little bit tight for room here. A couple of horses I think worth pointing out, Dave, from a future point of view. A Lucky Express and Armando. 2 horses have just had this start in Hong Kong. They look like horses for the future here.
Yeah, definitely. Lucky Express, you saw, was just a little bit green there. Took that bump, ran a very good race first up. And Armando, again, running on strongly at his first start. So, like you say, they're exciting for the future. You would expect them to go on, whatever they do, the weekend. But Mr. Croissant, you know, he didn't get that clear run. He looked value for a little bit more.
Yes, I'm with him as well too. I think that he's the one to beat. 2 for 2 second up as well. That was his first up run. But that'll be a terrific race to close the card at Sha Tin on Sunday. It's one of 11 races on the program. Trackside live coverage starts at 12 o'clock. And then for the final 2 weeks of the season, it's Wednesday at Happy Valley, Sunday at Sha Tin, the last Sunday meeting at Sha Tin for the season. And we wrap things up on the 15th of July. Dave, thanks for your time on the show today, and we're going to wrap up with one of your John Moore highlights, Able Friend, in that superb season that he had, winning the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup, one of a number of memorable performances that he produced.
Yeah, it was an impressive performance. Look, you could pick plenty of John Moore winners as the one you want to pick out, but this day, he was just impressive. He showed that he had that versatility. We'd seen him smash them in the Hong Kong Mile. And then this day he was against a classy field. He got stuck on the fence, and 300 metres out, you're just on pins thinking, is he going to get the gap? And he came out and just blew them away. It was a really impressive performance that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Yes, well, let's take it all in. Able Friend winning the 2015 Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup. Join us next week for the final edition of Hong Kong Direct. Thanks for your time. We'll see you next week.
It's Beauty Flame a half in front. Able Friend is squeezing off the fence. Here he comes. Beauty Flame in front. Able Friend gets the run and quickly races to the lead. Gold Fun is running on the outside. He's different class, Able Friend. Pulls away to win the Queen's Silver Jubilee from Beauty Flame and Gold Fun.